I got it right. Hi there, everybody. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon for everybody all around the world tuning in now and that's going to listen to this later on. Tonight, we've got this interesting lady with us that does something so unique and so interesting. Linda, welcome. Yeah. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for being part of our journey. Thank you for the nice connection we're having. And please enlighten us, show us, talk to us. The floor is yours.
Okay. How about I start with like a little bit of introduction and where I came from and how I got where I'm at?
Perfect.
You know, I'll try not to go on for too long. I've been intuitively aware since my earliest memory at age 3, when I realized my parents were withholding some important information from me. But ever since then, I've been kind of aware of like what makes people tick and like what their motivations may be and how they're stuck and how they can move forward. It's been the kind of stuff I've grown up with. When I was 6, it was my first day of kindergarten. And I got to school early with my mom and she was talking to the teacher and there was a little boy riding around on a wooden truck. And I remember being interested in the conversation that my mom was having with the teacher. And the teacher told me to go play with the boy with the truck. And I had this brief flash of awareness that I was trapped in the body of a 6-year-old kid and that I had important information I came here to share. And I was too young for anyone to take me seriously for a really long time. And then quickly that memory left me. It didn't come back for a really long time. But I grew up a really intuitive person, but I didn't know what intuition was. I didn't know that I was experiencing anything different than anyone else was. You know, that took me a long time to really understand that. So I didn't understand why people were making the decisions that they were, because it made no sense to me, knowing the things that I knew. And I didn't have an authority figure because I knew that the adults around me were lost and confused because I could see all of it. But it ended up teaching me like to really trust my own knowing and my own intuition. And it taught me compassion, which was a really important thing for anyone to have, but especially someone who does the type of work that I do. So it was a long time coming and my intuition grew. And at some point I understood what was happening to me and that other people didn't have that understanding. But I grew up in a really logical based family. You know, logic and facts were where it was at. And I would have laughed at someone like me back then, you know, maybe behind their back, but I probably would have laughed at people like me because I thought they were weird and flaky, you know. I've become one. But what happened for me, like I went to high school and I was in college. I have a master's degree in adult education, but none of the careers in the subjects that interested me led anywhere that I felt like I belonged. Like I loved psychology, but didn't see myself being a psychologist. I didn't see myself doing research. I didn't see myself in organizational development. I liked writing, but there wasn't any career that interested me other than poet, which seemed really impractical at the time. So like I was lost and I went out into the work world and I had some actually really good management jobs that a lot of people would have really given anything to have, but I was unhappy. And I knew that there was something specific I had come into this lifetime to do. I knew that I wasn't doing it. And like the divide between where I was at and what I knew I was supposed to be doing was actually painful for me. It was a really hard and many depressing years of my life until one day I started to become aware of things around subtle energy and intuitive stuff more. I had a friend who told me about this cassette program for, I guess you'd call it law of attraction. It wasn't a popular thing back then. And I was really skeptical, but I was unhappy about a number of things in my life. So I listened to this and, you know, I saw putting up making a poster with your desires and stuff. And the skeptical part of me is like, I don't want to do any of this. And it could take years to get a result. I'm not going to bother. But there was one part of the recording that was about feeling subtle energy and said you could do it. You could feel it instantaneously. So I was skeptical, but I tuned in and I did. And that got me interested. I decided to try to find more of the work of this person. She supposedly had a program about manifesting money, which, you know, of course I wanted to manifest money like everyone else. So I went and looked for it. I didn't find it, but I found some other things that really opened my eyes further about metaphysics and spiritual topics. And then I heard about Reiki, but I wasn't interested. Like I just didn't feel a real connection to it. But what happens with my intuition when I'm not paying attention, and I should be, is it starts to grow as a burning urge to do something. And then it was like I had to learn Reiki immediately. There were no classes in my area. I had to travel really far. But it just really resonated with me. And I'll go into what Reiki is and what it involves in a few minutes, but there's this process called an attunement, which is kind of like an activation or an initiation, and you have your eyes closed and you're connected better with the Reiki energy. And I heard it clearly in my head, and I felt it, this message that said, welcome home. And there was just huge outpouring of love that still makes me cry, even now when I think about it. It's been a long time. And I just knew I was in the right place. And after that, I was hooked. And it became clear to me that this was what I came here to do, to help people connect with themselves, you know, through this energy and through other forms of energy healing. And I've been doing it for 26 years. I've taught in person, I've taught at some workshops and conferences, I've taught out of some bookstores, I've taught out of Theosophical Society, and I've mostly been working one-on-one, teaching online with people from all over the world. So I love this. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I'm happy to talk to you all and answer any questions that you might have.
Well, that's interesting. You know what? That's to me, that's one of the most important things is that you are doing what you love to do. And it's not so much just you're doing it for the sake of money. That it's a very, very important role. But yes, we all do need money. That is for sure. And what did somebody say? It's not a very important thing, but if we have got to rate it, we just put it there with oxygen. So
Yeah.
But maybe it's also something that we have to look in is to start manifesting it into the money thing as well. Because if we can manifest certain things, then what is money? It's just also just another energy that we also can manifest.
Exactly. And some people, I find some people have difficulty in one area of their life creating what they want, and some have it in others, you know. Some people are just really good at the manifesting of the money, or they're in the job that they really love. And other people are struggling with that, or relationships or health, or some combination of that. I mean, you can see I have Tourette syndrome. It's not hugely obvious, but maybe it is. So like the idea that any of us are perfect, or that even that healing means you're going to be perfect, it's simply not true. I haven't met a single person who doesn't have something that's going on. And even if they're not saying it, I can see it and feel it. So I think the idea is that we just become more and more connected with our true nature, you know, whatever you want to call that. And as a result of that, things heal physically or in our lives the way that they need to, but it also bothers us less. You know, like one of the things I've got was self-confidence. I can put my face on a video, and there was a time when there was no way in heck I was going to be on a video anywhere. You know, I've learned to become a lot more comfortable with myself and even to be able to joke around about it. And the point is, if I can do this, you know, just imagine what you can do. So I'm just putting it out there as an example. None of us are perfect. If you go into energy healing to learn or have sessions and expect to walk out and your life's going to be perfect, you know, it's probably not going to happen that way. It could. We're all capable of who knows what, but you know, and the divine works through us, but it usually doesn't turn out that way.
Yeah. And tell me, Linda, how do you know, they talk a lot about protecting your own energy, or how do you build your own energy or protect your own energy or things like that?
Well, there are a lot of different ways to do it, and that's not really my primary focus, although I do get asked that a lot. I personally work with a healing team. Okay. And what that means is that there are a bunch of archangels and some ascended masters who back me up. Because I'm not clairvoyant, I'm clairsentient and claircognizant. I can feel energy patterns and signatures, and I know how to work with it. But some of the things that are helpful in being able to protect yourself are often being able to see and understand what's happening. So because of the way I work, I have a very strong team that supports me. And so I do what I can, and I know that they've got my back. I've built a relationship like this over the course of many years, and I believe I came into this lifetime to do their work with them. So I know I'm okay. But the other thing also is to raise your vibration. And there's lots of different practices to do that, and to ground and be present. That is also a huge protector. And for people who want it, things like shielding and psychic protection, which are less my forte, but can be easily learned or even researched for free.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that introduction. It's properly done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So now you can go over and explain to us. Now I'm very curious.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, and please tell me if I go off topic or if there's something like that's important to bring up. So I mentioned that energy healing, the physical changes or the emotional changes that you experience are important, and that's why a lot of people seek it out. But I think the overall goal is to connect with who you really are, or have a stronger connection with the divine. Or if you're scientifically based, I guess you could say, I don't know what the right term would be because I'm not a scientist, but it all is all backed up by science if you want to go research that. I'm always more focused on the practical and how to use it than I am about the history or the details behind how it works. But what I would say, so I'll talk about Reiki first. There's a lot of different types of energy healing, and there's a lot of different types of Reiki. When people talk about Reiki, they're usually talking about a Sui Reiki. And again, I'm not a Reiki historian, but the person who first experienced it was a monk named Dr. Sui, who had a spiritual experience, and these energies came to him. And so those energies are the foundation of what Reiki is, which you'd call it universal life force energy. And he had the epiphany on the mountain, and all of a sudden all this stuff came to him in a download. And that's what's shared when people work with Reiki. So the term Reiki means universal life force energy. I understand it's a Japanese term, although the practice has been very westernized. It originally started out as strictly a spiritual practice. And as it moved into the West, other things were added to it, and it became something that people did for physical and emotional and other healing as well. Let's see, what else? Help me stay on track. What kind of things in the nitty gritty could I talk about?
What would be an extreme session, for example?
An extreme session, you said?
Mm.
I didn't hear you. Okay. Yeah, maybe it would be good for me to talk about what a Reiki session looks like.
Yeah.
How about that as the start? So a Reiki practitioner is a conduit for the energy. I call myself a healing and awakening facilitator. Reiki doesn't come from inside me or any practitioner. It doesn't come from them. We don't own it. We're a conduit for the energy to act through. Like, think of it like a tube, right? So the energy comes from source. If you imagine source is up here, if that works, it comes through you and out your hands. Comes through you and out your hands. Everyone has this energy in them. It's the energy that animates us. So anyone who doesn't have the energy is deceased. It's already there. But Reiki practitioner receives training that helps them know how to use it better and to access more of it with greater ease and intention. Okay. So Reiki can be done in person, it can be done remotely. So if someone's in person, and a lot of Reiki practitioners have a table, I have one. I don't really work in person too much anymore. But the client lays down on the table, they're fully clothed, there's no sexual touching, there's no nudity involved in this. And there are various hand positions that a Reiki practitioner places their hands on the top of the person's head, over their eyes. We always ask for permission because some of the positions may bring up things. Yeah. And so we want to make sure that people are comfortable. And the energy flows through us. We just sit back. It's not really a passive thing. I would call it a receptive thing. So the energy flows through the healer into the client. The client is technically the one doing the healing. Their body and their spirit are taking in what is needed. It's not my job as a healer to know what they need. It's just my job to be open and to allow the energy to flow through. That said, a lot of Reiki healers will add other things into it, that do direct the energy, but that's technically not part of Reiki itself.
Okay, and is it something you can literally feel going through you?
I do. I'm really sensitive to it. And a lot of healers can feel or see something. Some don't. The person who taught me said she never feels it, never sees it, but her students get it, so the great majority of people will, if not initially, they will at some point. The person receiving it might not notice it either, so some people will feel it and some people will say, I feel absolutely nothing. Typically after a session, a great majority of the people will feel more relaxed and calm, even if they don't feel the energy moving. that I think is the thing that people notice the most. Some people fall asleep during the session, which is good, because sometimes people's minds get in the way. We start thinking, is this working? You know, am I good enough? Am I doing something wrong? You know, is this going to fix anything? And sometimes when people doze off, their mind gets out of the way. So some people are sleepy, or they have like a, you know, kind of zoned out thing during the session. And that's typically what a session, a Sui Reiki session would look like.
What is why would somebody come and see you? What is the normal or the reasons for coming to see somebody like you? Besides you, that's a trainer of it as well. But just for somebody like me that don't know much about it, what is the reason for me to come to you, if I may ask it?
Yeah, and most people are going to come because obviously there's something that they want help with. My specialty, I work on the emotional and spiritual aspects more than anything else, but I do work physical. So someone may have physical pain, they may have stress, they may have anxiety. Reiki is used a lot in hospitals. Like there's a department where, you know, people are volunteers. It helps people who are going to have surgery sometimes recover faster. So that's one of the most well-known uses of it. Stress, anxiety, just about any physical condition. The thing about energy medicine, of which Reiki is part, is it's not like taking a pill, you know. So let's say you have some physical condition, you go to the doctor and they say, take this, you know, and you usually, if it works, you'll notice a result fairly quickly. And that's addressing a symptom of it.
Yeah.
With Reiki, it works differently. So it works on the subtle energy level, and that will work its way into the physical and other levels, but there's often, because Reiki doesn't focus on addressing the symptom, Reiki focuses on the root cause. So someone may have an ulcer, for example, and they go to the doctor, they'll take something, it'll help them feel better, but it doesn't address why they got the ulcer in the first place. Maybe they are reactive to something, you know, maybe they had some traumatic experience they haven't addressed. Maybe there's some food allergy or sensitivity, doctors probably address that. But there's a lot of underlying reasons why people could have that. You know, they have anger that they haven't expressed. They had some other lifetime where this kind of thing happened. And many of us have a zillion layers covering up the things that we're dealing with. So Reiki works on that level. And sometimes the results can take quite a while. Things like stress usually are easier.
Yeah.
And things that have a lot of underlying causation can be harder. And I want to be clear, it's not my job or any Reiki practitioner to diagnose. We're not, you know, we're not doctors, unless someone is a doctor also, which I'm not. But a lot of people come for that kind of thing. Other people come because they want to awaken faster or easier, or they're aware of their chakra system and their subtle energy system, and they know they have blocks. Those are the people I often work with. They have some kind of trauma that, you know, they want help with, although I recommend they also see other kind of help while they're working with me. But they have trauma, like I said, they want to awaken quicker, that kind of thing.
And how long does a typical session take? Have you got like a specific hour or 90 minutes, or how often, not how often, how long?
It depends. I think originally it was taught that it takes about an hour for a session for a Sui Reiki. I would say that's probably true. Some people are finished quicker and some people longer. And I think the majority of people take multiple sessions to start to see the kind of results they want. And a willingness to be open. So like sometimes after a session, because a lot of energy shifts and the underlying cause starts to be addressed, in your daily life, you'll start to see the things that were keeping you stuck. You know, maybe you have an anger problem when it gets triggered around a certain person, and that will happen a lot more. And it's an opportunity for you to say, okay, I'm really angry here, what's going on? And so when people are more open and willing to see those things and look at it and possibly change it, they'll get even quicker and deeper results.
Okay.
I see Andre sent us, or actually is asking a question. Please ask Linda if she can give some advice on severe gout I have in my hands currently. Thank you.
There's beer.
And I want to be clear, I'm not a medical professional at all. So, you know, I don't know a lot about gout or most medical conditions. What I do is when someone comes and sees me, I open up to the energy and let it flow and let that other person receive it. And there are other techniques and processes depending on what type of healing I'm working with, what that person needs. So, I can't really give you the kind of information I think that you're seeking, because that's not my line of expertise. I'm really sorry.
No problem. Thank you very much. At least now we know. Yeah. Alistair, if you've got any questions, then you can always type, or if you can just unmute and you can ask a question as well if you want to. Okay, so you say a session is about an hour long. Quite interesting. All right. Like you say, what can I expect? Sometimes you can get something quickly to happen. It depends on also what I'm coming with and how long it can take to get through that.
Yes, so it will vary from person to person.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
there's many types of healing. So like I do other types of healing that don't take an hour. I don't do a lot of Usui Reiki healing. I think it's a really good entrance way into learning energy healing for a beginner. It's designed that way. And there's a lot there. And some people can make a lifetime out of going deeper and deeper and deeper into the practice and, become awakened and do some amazing healing work. For me, that's an entrance point. And the focus for me is on a lot of other things that I'm doing. So my sessions usually take about 40 minutes for a session.
And your bigger passion also, am I right to say, is also to train other people to become Reiki healers? Am I right to say that?
Yes, that's my practice is primarily a teaching practice, although I do offer sessions.
Okay.
And I've recently got into making MP3s that they're like guided meditation, but they also have energy transmissions. My favorite one is called Becoming Delightfully Unstuck. And what happened is when people are stuck in some area of their life, regardless of what it is, there usually tends to be certain things going on, certain ways in which they're stuck. Like they think they have all the answers already, there's like a category, a bunch of different reasons why people get that way. And what this program does is address those things. So whatever a person is working with, they can become unstuck with that. And when they're done with the program, they can move on to the next thing if they want to. And I just really love putting these MP3s together. But the primary focus of what I do is I teach. So I teach Usui Reiki for people who are beginners. And I have a lot of people who come back for multiple courses with me. It seems like I have a small group of people who like pretty much whatever I'm doing and have worked with me for a long time. So there's always ways to deepen your skills. And so some of what I teach, I call Reiki hybrids, like I teach Archangel Michael Reiki. So for people who want a stronger connection with Archangel Michael and want to learn to be better protected and want a loving, strong presence in their life. And for a number of other reasons, this combines Reiki with the energies of Archangel Michael and has some of the same features. You can do sessions with it. You can work in person. You can do sessions via distance. So like I could send to you in your location right now, and you can also teach it. And that's a good thing to mention about Usui Reiki too, that I didn't bring up. So level 1 Reiki, Usui Reiki usually has 3 levels or sometimes 4, depending on who's teaching and what style they're teaching. Level 1 of Usui Reiki teaches the basics of hands-on energy healing. So it's not difficult to learn. I mean, really little kids can learn how to do it. And after you receive the attunement, which I'll go into in a minute, you can do hands-on sessions for yourself and for other people. So it's a really good skill to have. I think, especially now, being able to put our health into our own hands. I mean, I won't make a political commentary what's going on in the world, because I know different people have different points of view. But I think the more that we can do to help ourselves and not necessarily be reliant on other people, and the more we can keep our stress levels down and at peace, the better off we are. So level 1 teaches everything you know to do a hands-on session for yourself and for other people. Level 2 is sending via distance. So how to send to someone in a different location, how to send Reiki to the planet, to animals that are in a different location, to situations in your life. You have a memory of something that's been hard, you can send Reiki back to it. You can send Reiki into your future. So you're going to a meeting and you think there might be some issues, send it forwards. That kind of thing. You can send it to other people in other places. That's a lot of fun, actually. And it just opens up a whole world of new opportunities. There's some symbols that are often a part of Reiki, and so level 2 teaches those symbols and what they mean and how to use them. That's level 2. And level 3 is often divided into 3A and 3B, or sometimes they're together. I teach them together. Level 3 teaches more of the Reiki symbols, but also if you want to learn how to teach other people and attune other people so they can work with the Reiki energy, level 3 teaches that. So that's basic Asui Reiki in a nutshell.
Is that all available on your website?
Yes, that and all the other things that I teach. So yeah, Asui Reiki is I think a good place to start if you're a beginner. And the materials I have are not ones that I've written because this is not my modality. But I like the materials that I found. They're extremely good for beginners. They explain things in a really beautiful way. And so I think just about anyone can read it and be able to use it fairly quickly.
Okay. Linda, what's other, you say there's other healings that you do. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Sure. There are some that are not mine. There's something called Kundalini Reiki, which is one of my favorite things in the entire world. When you have a spiritual awakening, you have these energy centers in the body called chakras.
Mm-hmm.
And each of those chakras are related to specific body parts and specific other things, attributes, personality traits, you name it. And so what happens in our life often is when we're having some health issue, there's something in the chakra around that area that is affected. And so what Kundalini Reiki does, a number of things, it will work on those blockages in the chakras so that your energy flows through your chakra system correctly. Some people have what's called a Kundalini awakening, and it's part of a process of spiritual awakening when energy starts to flow from the base of your spine up. I think it flows to the top of your head. I'm not really well versed on the meanings of Kundalini Reiki. Kundalini, I'm not a Kundalini student, but I do love Kundalini Reiki because I've used it on people who have had these experiences. When the energy starts to activate, if you have blockages in your chakras or your energy system, you can start to have kriyas, which are like, involuntary body movements, not Tourette syndrome. And you can have other symptoms. So, you could have a lot of discomfort, for example. You could have difficulty sleeping. You get really sweaty. Your body could shake. And so Kundalini Reiki helps address the blockages so that the energy flows through. And even for people who aren't having those experiences, but want to deepen and speed up their awakening in a safe way, Kundalini Reiki is where it's at.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So what would you teach that as well? Am I right?
Yep, and a bunch more, but yes. And that's
What?
one of my favorites because I've gone to spiritual events where people had these kind of experiences. There was one I used to go to where there was literally someone whose job it was to catch people so that they wouldn't fall. And they would carry them over to a corner of the room where they could relax until their body calmed down, and all the kriyas and stuff stopped. And what I did was I asked the divine, can I send to this person? And if I got a yes, I would send. And every single person I sent to, all the kriyas stopped with like 30 seconds. It was really, if I had any doubt before then, I don't now. And I've used it on myself. I've had the Kundalini waking stuff too.
Okay, so that means if somebody like me that knows nothing about Reiki, where do I start? Do I start with the modality 1, 2, and 3, and then go over to the Reiki one, or what would you say?
The Kundalini one.
Okay, the Kundalini one. Sorry.
So with the first 3 courses and then Kundalini, or can you go straight to the Kundalini Reiki?
I believe I'd have to go double check, but I believe you can go right to the Kundalini Reiki if you want to. But I think Asui Reiki is really a good point for a lot of people to start, but you can definitely go to the Kundalini Reiki. Anyone who works with me, if you start with the Kundalini Reiki and it doesn't make sense because you're missing something, I'm happy to fill you in and help you out.
Okay.
Some things I teach definitely have a prerequisite, but some do not. A few other things that don't have a prerequisite, that I'll start with the things that are not my work. There's something called gold Reiki, which works with the vibration of gold. And it's really beautiful for raising your vibration. I was talking about the importance of raising your vibration. This is another very easy thing to learn. It has only one level, like Kundalini Reiki has only one level. You could be using it in half an hour. So that's one of my favorites as well. There's a few others that are not mine. And then mine are Archangel Michael Reiki, Archangel Raphael Reiki, which is really good for healers because Archangel Raphael is the archangel associated with healing. And so anyone who wants to continue to build their healing skills, that's a really good one. My baby is called the Mystery Mastery Healing System. It's my flagship work and the first thing that I created myself. And it's kind of complicated, but it's a really good thing for healers who want to really deepen their skill set and their awakening in a really big way. And that how it reframes Reiki and a healer in such a way that enables you to do all kinds of really interesting things that wouldn't ordinarily be doable. You know, everything from learning how to change the way your body moves. Like if you have an injury with your hip, you can walk in such a way that your body doesn't use the same amount of gravity. Like there's all these really interesting things you can do. You can tap into any energy healing modality in an ethical way that doesn't steal things from people and be able to use it for yourself and for other people. Like the sky's the limit. And it's a huge amount of fun for people who like to create and be innovative with energy. And that's my baby. I teach something called Sovereign Reiki, where instead of being a conduit for Reiki energy, you are like a tuning fork. You know, you embody your source energy. So you're connecting with your own connection with the divine. You're bringing it into your life, and then you're kind of like other people can resonate with that energy and take it in that way, like a tuning fork would work, which is something I don't think anyone else is doing. I teach a few other types of Reiki too. Reiki as well, and I've taught a lot of things over the years.
Sure.
Sure.
Sounds fascinating. There's some Reiki modalities I haven't even heard of, which is fascinating.
There's a lot of them out there, probably thousands or hundreds of thousands. Some, you know, really amazing, and some probably not as good. Yeah.
Okay, Linda, there's a question from Alistair. How do I find out if I have a blockage in my heart chakra? And then how do I unblock it to free up the space for a good partner?
Ooh, excellent question. Well, there's a lot of ways. I mean, obviously I recommend Reiki as a way to do it, but there's one way to get like yes or no answers. That's pretty nice and I think is often easy. So what you do is you tune in, you close down your head. So, you know, you're not tuning in here, you're tuning in here. And ask yourself, how do I put this? Is there a blockage? Well, I'm trying to figure out the best way to phrase this particular question. Ask about the quality of your heart chakra and see what kind of feeling you get. Does it feel blocked or stuck or uncomfortable? Or does it feel expansive and amazing and good? That's one way to do it.
Would it be fine if I ask Alistair to unmute and you can ask him those questions and we run it past? Or is
Sure.
That...
Sure. And you're welcome to show your face. If I'm doing it, you can do it if you want to. Hey, challenge accepted.
We are. We don't. Hi there. Good evening. We have load shedding on the go here, so.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah.
Okay, then put the other sticker then back.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Yeah. So, and I'd ask you to try that, to tune into your heart now, and ask about its condition, the heart chakra, and see what you get. What do you feel?
I feel a tightness.
So that's an answer. And another way to tell is to look at what's going on in your life. You know, like how connected do you feel with other people? You know, what kind of situations in your life were heartbreaking that you feel you haven't resolved? Those kind of things are also a way, like your life will just show you exactly what you need. But tuning into your body in that way is a really good way to do it. So that's one way to get an answer. There's many ways to address it. Again, you know, I love Kundalini Reiki and I love Usui Reiki and all the other things I'm doing. Highly recommend. But other ways to do it that don't involve paying money and getting training. Like, so one way to do it is imagine, put a smile on your face. Like, can you get into a place where you feel really happy by putting a smile on your face?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get that, move that sensation onto your heart so that your heart has that same kind of smiley thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's one really easy way. It takes a little practice to get the same sensation you feel when you have the smile on your face on your heart. But that's one of my favorite ways to play with it. Another is to focus on your heart and think about something that makes you really happy or brings you joy, or that where you feel gratitude. Energy healing isn't just about this Reiki energy. There's all kinds of wonderful energies that we can play with. So if you can feel joy or love, or like people often think about their children or their pets or something that just brings them pure joy, and have that feeling in their heart and hold it. Another thing you can do is and I have this actually on my website, and maybe I'll put the link somewhere or whatever you want to do. But it's in my website. It's in my website, in my blog, is a technique that you can focus on the tightness in your heart without trying to force it, to change it, to judge it, to think, what does this mean, or why I'm bad for having this, or this is wrong. But just stay with the sensation of it without judging or analyzing it. And if you can be open like that, I often tell people to think about their pets again, or little kids, or something that makes them really happy. While you keep the sensation there, the energy will shift in your heart. It may be a little uncomfortable or hot or something, but eventually if you hold that space, just staying focused on the sensation and not what it means, and no analysis or judgment, the energy will shift over time. Treat it like a visitor in your home. It's welcome. You're not going to try to change it, and you're acknowledging that it's there, and just let it do its thing. That's, I think, one of the best ways to do it.
So all the work has got to be done on my side. I can't. You can't expect other people to do it for you. It's got to be done personally.
I think even if you go to a healer, you're still doing the work. You know, if you're lying on a table receiving the healing, that energy is going to go where it needs to, and then you'll go home, and probably those things in your life that are causing it will come up, and then it's what you do with it. A healer doesn't fix anyone, at least not any of the healers that I know. So it's always has to do with
that's what I mean.
Openness. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So am I right to say what you were trying to describe now is, it's not the present that you're getting, it's the happiness, the feeling that you get about the present. And it's that feeling that you've got to take to wherever, like in this case now, into the heart. And it's that same feeling what your pets give you, or something good like that.
Yeah, that feeling is a high vibration energy. And by having and being willing to feel that feeling or transferring it there, will eventually work out anything that's lower and move it out. It's also, and you also get the point, it's like manifesting too. So, you know, at the same time, you're holding this really beautiful thing that is the present. And excuse me, that's another benefit from it.
So it's like, I read this, and actually I think it falls in line with what you were saying to Alistair. A healer is someone who holds space for you while you awaken your inner healer, so that you may heal yourself.
I like that, yeah. And there may be types of energy healing that I'm not aware of that do things differently, but what I'm familiar with, that is the case. Yeah. Healer doesn't fix anyone. We're a facilitator, and we're there to support the process. Even people who use other processes or techniques other than Reiki, we're really just helping something move along. But the person on the receiving end is the one generally has the biggest responsibility. But also, responsibility is not a burden either. It means that you're capable of doing something. And that's a really good thing.
Is it also a question of taking ownership or responsibility of how I'm feeling, what I'm feeling, and dealing with it? I mean, we all say, yeah, go deal with it, but it's a question of actually acknowledging, I'm just feeling sad today, and it's okay. It's just a feeling. It comes and it goes, and it doesn't consume me, or it isn't me. It's just a part of me.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make me good or bad. You know, it doesn't make me right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's not about whether you deserve it or not, or whether you're worthy of something or not. It's just, this is where it is at the moment. And I think when we can let go of all the judgments and evaluations, that actually the responsibility becomes a joy, you know, it becomes that empowerment.
Can you use that same feeling if you've done something with the right intention and the other person doesn't pick it up like that? To them, it's the wrong thing you were doing, but in your modality, you did it the right way. How can we get past that one?
One thing about energy healing is you can't make someone else do it if they don't want. You know, like I could think that you need to fix something and I could send you Reiki till kingdom come. But if you're not open to it, one, you're not going to be doing it consciously or unconsciously. And two, it's one of the reasons why healers need to really focus on doing it for themselves and their own personal development, because there'd be some reason why I think you should change, right? There's something in me that's getting triggered. You know, I think you should be this way and you're not, and it's bothering me. And so what the Reiki will do is it'll show you in your own life where you're stuck and why you're doing this. Some people will say it's karma coming back to bite you, but I really just think it's a loving energy showing you, you know, here's why I think this person should change. So healing's always about yourself. If that other person is open to it and gives permission, you can definitely send it, you know, and they'll do with it as they need to. And then you need to just let it go and let it be. But the other thing is often when you change yourself, because there's two people involved, so there's some kind of interaction. When you change yourself, often that other person will shift if they're meant to. Or in some situations, maybe they're not meant to be in your life and they'll, you know, go their own way.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah. Alistair and Andre, is there anything else you guys would like to ask? You can just unmute and ask while we've got 2 or 3 more minutes.
I'm just soaking up everything that Linda's sharing with us. It's brilliant.
Thank you. And it's not coming from me. Some of it comes through me and some of it is just stuff that I've learned over the many years.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Thank you so much, Linda. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Andre. Thank you for being here. Linda, thank you very much for everything. Yeah, please, we will soon advertise also on the group our Instagram page and our YouTube channel where all these things will be posted.
Oh, thank you.
And please, can I ask you as well to do something for us on our group, and please put your website on there as well. I would really
you send me the link? Yeah. Would you send me the link of where exactly you want me to put it? Yeah.
On the Telegram one for now. Just to use the Telegram that we are on now.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
So that people can reach out to you and contact you if they want a session with you or to learn how to do it from you, whichever modality they want, in whichever Reiki modality it comes, you know. So yeah, if you can put that link there, that would be really good. Thank you.
I'd love that. And if anyone listens to this and has more questions, you can always ask, you know, me one-on-one too.
Thank you. And what would be the last sentence or thought that you would like to leave the people with?
Oh, wow. Well, that's profound, huh? Put me on the spot. I think that this is something that anyone can do. It's a natural part of who we are. And, you know, I think it's great that we have a way to tap into it and use it for ourselves and other people. So if you feel inclined to do it, I encourage you to do it.
Good. And thank you for being the vessel, because it does take quite a bit, and to be open and to be honest and to be available. So thank you for what you do. If nobody's thanked you today, we thank you today.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the opportunity to talk about it. And I like being the vessel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
really,
so
really
much.
appreciate your time, everything else. Thank you guys for tuning in. And
Yes, thank you very much for taking your time and listening.
You know, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to talk to people like yourself and to have good guests. And I trust that so many people all around the world will still tune in and realize that this is something that we all need. Yes, Alistair.
Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. Sorry I was late.
No,
But as I said, load shedding does have undisciplined, I mean, funny ways of showing up at the oddest of times.
No problem.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Linda. We really appreciate your time. We're going to just stop the recording.